Hey everyone, today's video is the third in a series on the classes of Diablo 4. In each video, we'll look at the strengths, weaknesses, skills, class-specific mechanics, and different builds for each class, and even rank their builds based on their strength in the end game to help you decide if this is the class you want to play. And next up is the Sorcerer. Starting with strengths. Sorcerer has some of the best mobility in the game, with the iconic teleport skill. Teleport in Diablo 4 transforms the Sorcerer into lightning and surges them to their target location, dealing damage upon arrival. There are also upgrades for this skill called Shimmering Teleport, which decreases the cooldown by up to 3 seconds, and Aspect of the Bounding Conduit, which gives 20% movement speed for 3 seconds after teleporting. Not only that, but there are even more options for increasing move speed. Flamewalker's Aspect grants plus 15% move speed when coming in contact with your firewall. Charged Aspect gives 10% move speed when collecting crackling energy, and there's even more than this, but you get the general idea. It reminds me a lot of the Sorceress from Diablo 2, which most players choose for their first character because of teleport and clearing ability, and it seems like the Sorcerer of Diablo 4 is going to have a similar advantage as a first character or speedrunning character with all of the increased move speed options. Sorcerers also have the ability to use more skills than any other class because of their class-specific mechanic, the enchantment system, which we'll get into later. And finally, the Sorcerer has a ton of crowd control options with plenty of abilities which chill, freeze, stun, and immobilize their enemies like Frost, Nova, Blizzard, and so many more. When it comes to weaknesses, well, let's just say that with all that mobility, you better not get hit. Sorcerers are known as a glass cannon, high damage but shatters like glass when hit. There's even a skill you can get called Glass Cannon, increasing your damage at the cost of taking even more damage, and that is the Sorcerer's biggest weakness. They are the least tanky class in the game and can't take many hits before dying, but not to say they don't have spells to defend themselves. So if you like kiting monsters and casting spells from afar, Sorcerer could be your playstyle. Moving on to skills, Sorcerers have 6 skill groups: Basic, Core, Defensive, Conjuration, Mastery, and Ultimate. Each tier is unlocked after a certain level is reached. For example, Core skills are unlocked at level 3, Defensive at level 7, Conjuration at 12, Mastery at 17, and Ultimate at level 24. Some cool looking skills include Incinerate, which channels a beam of fire, dealing AoE damage in the shape of a cone in front of you, Frostbolt, which throws a bolt of frost at an enemy, chilling them, and Deep Freeze, which encases the Sorcerer in ice, becoming immune, not being able to take any damage, and dealing AoE cold damage and freezing enemies. And you probably noticed the enchantment effect in the tooltip. This is from the Sorcerer class mechanic, the enchantment system, which we're going to get into next. But before that, if you're enjoying the video, make the Sorcerer smile by clicking like and subscribe. Alright, moving on to the class-specific mechanics. The Sorcerer's class mechanic is the enchantment system. The enchantment system allows access to 3 extra skill slots called the enchantment slots. Skills that can be enchanted show on their tooltip what their enchantment effect is. A spell placed into an enchantment slot becomes a passive skill. For example, Meteor has a 3% chance to be cast on a random burning enemy when put in the enchantment slot. Arc Lash makes it so that anytime you're hit, there's a 20% chance the attacker is stunned for 1 second. This sounds pretty strong, especially in PvP. Flame Shield's enchantment effect makes you immune for 2 seconds automatically when you take fatal damage. This also seems like another strong enchantment choice. Now, one of the enchantments that might seem weak at first, but I actually thought was really cool, was Blizzard's enchantment effect, which causes a blizzard to form over you and follow you around, which doesn't sound too great since monsters shouldn't be getting too close to you anyways, but there's a defensive you can get called Snowguard's Aspect, which causes you to take 10% less damage while you're within your own blizzard. So that's a cool synergy there. Alright, overall, the enchantment system is an interesting take on a class-specific system because it allows you to effectively use 3 more abilities than any other player, even if it's just a passive effect, and allows you to further customize your skills to fit your build. And speaking of builds, the main themes are Cold, which uses skills like Frostbolt, Frozen Orb, Frost Nova, Ice Blades, Blizzard, and Deep Freeze. Fire, which uses skills like Fireball, Incinerate, Meteor, Hydra, and Inferno, and Lightning, which uses skills like Arc Lash, Chain Lightning, Lightning Spear, Ball Lightning, and Unstable Currents. Now, Unstable Currents is a pretty cool sounding skill. Whenever you cast a lightning skill, you instantly cast another non-basic lightning skill. But when it comes to the end game, the best end game builds are number 1, Hydra Sorcerer. Yep, that's right. The strongest skill for Sorcerer as of the closed beta was Hydra. The skill summons a 3-headed Hydra, and each head spits fire at enemies, dealing 30% damage. So there's 3 of them, each shooting this 30% damage attack, right? And there's even an upgrade called Summoned Hydra, which causes the Hydra's attack to burn enemies for 12% of its base damage dealt over 6 seconds. Now, this is actually, in my opinion, a key upgrade because other Sorcerer abilities can occur on burning enemies, like Supreme Inferno, which makes killing a burning enemy reduce Inferno's cooldown by 1 second. And this is an ultimate, right? So this reminds me a lot of Diablo 3, where many builds were built around reducing the cooldown of an ultimate ability. And I'm seeing a trend across classes that there are many ways to do that again coming in Diablo 4. Other Sorcerer abilities that benefit from burning are Meteor's enchantment effect, which has a proc chance of 3% each time an enemy takes burning damage to have a meteor be cast on them. Warmth gives you a 50% chance to gain 1 mana per source of burning on enemies, and Enhanced Firebolt causes Firebolt to pierce burning enemies, so it can do a lot of linear AoE damage moving through enemies instead of just hitting the first one it touches, and so on. There are even more ways that enemies being burning can help a Sorcerer. So since Hydra was the strongest skill in the closed beta, every Sorcerer ended up building around it, and Hydra Sorcerer was the top tier build that could clear any content, including the hardest tiered Nightmare dungeons. Now, keep in mind, though, that this is all based on data available from the closed beta test and information online, and there will most likely be changes before the final game releases. Now, that's all I have for Sorceress. If you enjoyed this video, you might like this video shown on the screen. I'll see you there.